Hey there, Brady here with your daily tennis lessons. So we're looking at power generators this week at DTL, and today we're going to look at 3 specific power generators on the forehand side. All right, so let's get into it. The first would be just honestly lengthening the stroke. You know, you look back to maybe some very old school footage of some forehands back in the day, and a lot of players might have gone just straight back and straight to the ball. And I think a lot of you today, if you compare just this back and through swing compared to today's modern forehand, what you see on the Pro Tour, it looks very compact, very shallow to shallow. And that's, you know, a deterrent for getting power. That's why the power game today is so much more explosive than it was back in the day, with the addition of some rackets, some string, all that stuff. But the path of the racket into the tennis ball is a big power source. So what I want you to do, if you're not feeling like the path you're taking is generating enough power, lengthen your path to the ball. And obviously we're getting into that idea of a loop there. But the key really, because there are some players who aren't generating big power with their forehand and yet have a loop, and it's probably because the loop itself is pretty compact. So I think you will be very impressed and feel like you're in the club, so to speak, if the tip of your racket in your loop is getting above your head slightly. Be very careful about going too big. We don't want to get stuck, obviously, but it's obviously so helpful to go above the height of my head with the tip of the racket, because now my path to the ball is much longer. And in a longer stretch to the ball, I can generate more speed, and speed's going to translate to power. All right, so elongating the loop or elongating the stroke itself, to keep it simple, is the first way to generate more power on your forehand. The second, once that loop has come down and we've stretched out this swing some, the second power generator on the forehand is the acceleration to the ball with the use of lag. And very simply, the alternative to lag is setting the racket down and immediately taking the strings to the tennis ball. If you're a player who sends the strings to the ball from this back position initially, you're never going to hit a very big forehand. I don't care how big your stroke is. The idea here to generate power via lag is to pull the handle of the racket towards the tennis ball, or simply towards Mark out there. We want to stretch that swing where the strings stay behind that handle as long as possible. At some point, obviously, the strings have to catch up to the ball, but the longer I can pull that handle towards the opponent on the other side or towards the tennis ball, the more power I'm going to get, because there's a real slingshot effect with this idea of lag, where I'm yanking the racket, and then in order to get these strings to catch up to the ball, there's this really, really cool slingshot effect, and you can hopefully hear the whoosh my racket makes if I just hit a shadow swing, where if I drop the racket and send the strings first, there's a much stiffer element there where I'm not going to generate power. All right, so lagging the racket. If you're struggling with that, if you understand the idea but struggle with lag, lag cannot be achieved without staying loose, without staying relaxed. Somebody that flexes back here and gets everything in the shoulder and the arm tight is going to struggle to lag the racket. So you've got to make sure as you come down into your backswing and into this low position that everything through here is extremely loose, so you can make that pull of the handle with ease. On to our third point, which would be a power generator, is point of contact. If I do both of those things well, elongate the stroke, create acceleration with the use of lag, and yet make contact late to the ball, I'm not going to get power. My analogy here is if I was going to kind of push a heavy object. Would I want to take that heavy object from behind my body and try to push? Or would I want to put my hand on it in front and start to push? I think you get the feeling I'm able to create way more force if that push occurs slightly in front of my body, and it's the same with hitting a tennis ball. Contact must occur if we're attempting to get good power in front of our inside foot or our lead foot. So if I'm here in an open stance forehand and I've set my position, contact has to occur slightly in front of that lead foot. But you really want to start timing this stroke if power's what's missing from your forehand, where contact's occurring there, because anything behind that lead foot and we get jammed up. Like I said, I don't care how much you elongate, how much you lag, once you're behind that lead foot, you will get tight and you will lose power. Okay, so to recap, lengthen the stroke, get that tip of the racket above the height of your head in your loop. Practice that relaxed feel so you can lag the racket and pick up a ton of speed. And ultimately, our third component is that contact point. We want to pick up a ton of speed, but make contact in front of that lead foot. Okay, so let's just try to put all three of these together. You're going to see that bigger backswing. Let's go, one more. Okay, so intention is so key, right? I know as Mark feeds that in, I'm working on generating more power. I think for me, the start of that is obviously make sure that racket's up. What I'm not doing in the middle of that swing is, if it helps you, I'm not really focused on trying to hold the racket back in that lag sense. I'm just trying to stay as loose as possible. I think it's going to ultimately lag back the looser you stay. And then I'm just, after I take the bigger backswing to create length, I'm highly focused on making sure the ball doesn't play me, but I'm just going out to get it at a good point of contact. And all of a sudden, three really good, bigger forehands off a ball that honestly didn't come with much pace. And that's a pretty good amount of pace that I'm hitting for more of this sitter. I'm going to ultimately, if I can knock off those three elements against a little more power from Mark, I'm going to hit the ball even bigger, okay? So those three ideas, I think, again, shadow swings are extremely helpful. Working on those components without having to hit the ball a few times is going to give you the feeling in your body of what you're trying to achieve, so that when you do introduce the ball, don't be so aware of the result right away. Be aware, does the ball take away that feeling you're trying to achieve, or is the ball just getting in the way of the swing you're attempting to make? That would be the real key. Okay, and that's all I got for you today. A lot more to come this week on power generators. But until then, please click like below this video. And if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. As well as check down below me in the description of this video. You'll find the link to 3 free courses that Mark and I have put together. I think you'll find those really helpful as well. All right, so until next time, be well. We'll see you soon at Daily Tennis Lesson.